And action.
My dad and I were both.
The heavy metal maroon door slams shut.
Moment of clarity. Going to the bar.
Expecting my mother always to be.
I met him in a crack house. I wasn't trying to meet anybody. Like, I paid a lot of money to just sit there by myself and grind my teeth. But when I offered him my last hit and he said no, and then he turned around and offered me his last Percocet, I was like, maybe this guy's kind of cool. I ended up falling in love with him against my will. He had these beautiful blue eyes that were like the color of the ocean. And he had this really soft voice. And he loved the woods and the water and the mountains like I did. And not long after we met Dude. Dude was your typical big-time drug dealer. You know, he had like wads of cash and fancy cars and crazy girlfriends and a gun. And he set us up to sell for him. You'd think it would be a dream come true, right? Two addicts with more coke and money than they knew what to do with. We tried to convince ourselves it was, but the truth is that it was a nightmare. It was awful. We were just paranoid and strung out and afraid all the time. We had scary people trying to steal from us, and we had the DEA on us all the time. And I ended up just kind of secretly wishing it would end somehow. And it did. It ended with me sitting in a cold, tiny gray cement room, staring at the chain that linked my left hand to my right hand, listening to the DEA tell me that I was looking at 5 years in prison, but there was a way out. The way out was to testify against him, Chris, with the blue eyes. And I knew that they had just made that same offer to Chris in the same room not that long before. I wish that I could say that I trusted him. Because on the street, I trusted him with my life. We had to trust each other like that with the way that we were living. I never doubted him for a second. But sitting in there in that cold room, looking at prison, I wasn't so sure. But I had to choose, not knowing what he had chosen. And I chose to trust him. I turned down the deal, and I dealt with the system. And thank God, so did he. And when the system was done, when we ground through the meat grinder of the criminal justice system and came out the other side, we tried so hard to make it work. We both got into recovery eventually, and we tried to build a life, just a regular life. But we couldn't do it. We couldn't make the relationship work. Whatever worked for us on the street, it didn't work for us in recovery. And 8 years after I met him, he packed up all his stuff into his rusty pickup truck and he drove off back to the mountains. And I was heartbroken. And today I've got a scar on my heart with his name on it. And that's okay. I don't regret a thing because every part of that journey with him helped bring me to where I am today. And today is awesome.